today's story has some pretty interesting things to talk about. Let's just say it involves a very racist Karen, who just turns out to be the neighbor of OP, and things are about to get wet and wild. I did not choose my skin color or the color of my hair and eyes. Yet, I'm hated because of them. They've become shields that cover my true self and not give anyone a chance to see my soul, the man that I am. I'm sure you've heard these stories everywhere, and many of you must have experienced hatred because of your skin color yourself. You might have been rejected from the job, from admissions, and even discarded by your own family because of the supposedly wrong color of your skin. Trust me, I've faced the same, but recently, there's something that's been messing with my mental health and well-being. I don't want to do something to retaliate, nor to want to bring the matter up to the authorities because, well, what I'm going through, this has been going on for some time now. But if I keep ignoring it all, I will lose myself entirely and succumb to insanity. You tell me, do I deserve this? So, before I begin telling you about the things I've been facing, let me give you some background. You're free to judge as you may, but that won't stop me from stating my case. I'm my parents' youngest child, born to a policeman and a housewife. I've never lacked anything in my life. My father has this insane sense of justice that makes him strive for the best. He's my pride, my role model, always has been. It's his strategic thinking, courage, respect, and most of all, empathy and sense of righteousness that have made him successful in his career so far, and now he's the chief of police and the highest-ranking officer in his department. Believe me, his life hasn't been easier either. He's faced pretty much the same things that I have, but the racist comments fueled his desire to prove himself. And he has. Sometimes I wish I had the same temperament that he has, but I don't. He tells me that it's because I'm young and have years that will surely make me resistant to the nonsense people spew because of the hatred festering in their hearts. But I doubt it. Sometimes I believe him, but it makes me wonder how much I'll have to endure to become like him. I've always been good in my studies and extracurriculars. I was never like the other boys my age, wasting money on different activities. Booze, girls during their teenage years. I'd always been frugal, and was made fun of by people my age, but I didn't bother because I'd inherited a strategic brain from my father and, on his suggestion, had already thought of a business I wanted to start after high school. When I turned 18, my father invested a bit in my savings and I registered my own IT company. It started small, with 2 other guys who were equally talented, and they've been rejected by many other reputable companies because of their skin color. I might have been too had I not intended to start my own company right after school. With my friends, I worked day and night, and by the age of 23, I had my own house, my own Mercedes. And that's when things started, well, turning sour. I'd always preferred quiet towns to live in, and that's why I purchased a double-story Victorian-style house in Maryfield. My house is the last in the lane, right next to the town's wall. On my left are the Hawkins, a newly married couple and a cause of my distress. When I moved in, I found them in their front lawn tending to a bed of tulips. They caught my attention with the way that they were just around each other, so carefree, so in love. I'd smiled at their interactions, and when they'd caught me watching, their smiles had fallen. The woman, a blonde with electric blue eyes, had walked up to the fence separating our front gardens and had asked if I had a problem with them. I apologized to Karen Hawkins at once because it was inappropriate of me to watch them in their own element, though I did mention that seeing her laugh and joke around with her husband awed me. That was something I'd want in my life. In response, she'd laughed bitterly and had turned without a word. That was that, but it gave rise to her unrelenting hatred towards me, and the lengths that she'd go to torment me because of my skin color. It began with her dumping her trash cans in my garden. It ruined the newly planted flower bed, but I'd bit my own tongue instead of blaming her. When I'd step out of my house to leave for work, she'd run out of her own and had begun apologizing. According to her, some animals have overturned the trash in my garden, and I believe that she knew I wasn't dumb enough to believe her words, because no matter how one looked at it, well, no local animal was capable enough to pick up the can and overturn it in my garden from over the fence. I'd given her a tight-lipped smile and nothing more. I had not even said a word because how could I? I'm not the sort of person to make an issue out of such a prank, but thinking back to the moment, I wish I had. Maybe it would have stopped the events that unfolded after that. I'd moved on. I'd assumed that it was just going to be a one-time thing, but I'd been so wrong. Before I tell you about the second incident, let me tell you that I have hypersomnia. I'm sensitive to smells. Imagine me waking up right there on a Sunday morning and the smell of rotten tomatoes and eggs. By the time I jumped down to bed, I'd already gagged and thrown up the dinner I had the night before. I could not help myself and be in enough turmoil to even wonder about the source of the smell. It took me quite some time to compose myself, and I took measurements before looking around the house for the origin of such a disgusting stench. I'd skidded to a stop, and my stomach, it was failing, when I noticed a pile of rotten eggs and tomatoes all over my living room floor. I was baffled. Baffled that time, so I decided to investigate a bit. When Karen saw me puzzled over the matter, she took it upon herself to explain the situation. According to her, the children of the guest that she had the night before had pulled a prank. She apologized to me on their behalf, but once again, I noticed that she was enjoying the distress that she's put me through. Since she was claiming it had been her guest, not her, and was making a show of apologizing, I simply could not do anything. I wasn't the kind of man who went about blaming people without evidence. It was something my father had taught me. That weekend, I spent time with my parents and discussed these two events with my parents and older sister. They'd all told me that just to install the CCTV cameras or alarms, just to avoid further inconvenience, and for proof, if she so much as does anything else to my house in my absence. I found some sensibility in their suggestions and did exactly that. Though I'd admit, Karen's behavior had gotten a rise to doubt in my mind, and I started suspecting every person I ever met on my street. I hated it, but I couldn't help it. When Karen noticed that I've been taking some security measures, she knew she couldn't mess with me anymore. Not the way she had been, so she took another way to ensure that I suffered. She started spewing nonsense about me to my neighbors, and it wasn't until an old man, Mr. Hale from across the street, walked up to me with a serious poker face. He said that he had an urgent matter to discuss with me, so I invited him in. I gave him a cup of coffee with some honeyed biscuits. It hurt so much when he made no effort to touch the coffee or the biscuits I made from scratch. I read the look in his eyes. He was wondering if I've added something to it. Mr. Hale's words pulled the rug from under my feet, and I found myself facing something I never encountered before. Mr. Hale believed, as did many other neighbors, that I was involved in a shady business. At 24, he just refused to believe that I had successfully businessed and purchased Mercedes with my own income. Well, in my defense, I showed him the documents that proved that my business was legit. He'd appeared dubious, yet the color of my skin made him hesitate. It clouded his judgment, and he left the house saying that I should think about moving from this town. Oh, I was perplexed, but I didn't say anything because that wasn't what my father taught me. Somehow, deep in my heart, I knew that Karen had been the one behind these rumors. I wished that she'd scratched my Mercedes or worse, had stolen, then spreading such malicious lies about me in the neighborhood. I was hurt. I started spending most of my time with my parents, and They did wonder if something was wrong with me, and every time I assured them that I was doing quite well. Parents being parents, they didn't buy my words. The resentment that had spread throughout the town, courtesy of Karen, made kids target my home. They broke the windows while playing cricket, and they even sneaked inside to write vulgar words on my walls. My CCTVs recorded everything, but they were kids. They were acting on the hatred that was fed to them. They learned that my skin color was wrong, and that my existence was a blot on their society's reputation, and I couldn't hate them, nor bring them into the spotlight just because they were misguided, but I could say their behavior did tear my heart out. A lot of things happened, and 7 months later, I'm here because I've had enough. Just last night, my partner and best friend Bryson came up to me with a video he'd come across on the internet. Karen had posted a picture of my Mercedes and blurred out the number plate. In her caption, she'd explained that she suspected her neighbor, me, of theft, and asked if somebody was missing their Mercedes. They must visit the address that she's given to check. After everything, she's labeled me as a thief in front of the entire world. Should I charge her for defamation of character and harassment? Will that make me an a-hole? I'll let you be the judge of it. What's up, everybody? Mr. Reddito here. So this Karen conflict in this neighborhood is far from over. OP is about to undergo even more hatred, but don't worry. You know what they say about karma. I hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Let's jump into update number 1. I met Karen last evening to put an end to everything that's been happening. From my side, it was an honorable effort to go to her rather than a third party, but moments ago I realized the mistake I've made. Before I tell you all about the new trouble I'm in, let me tell you how my meeting with Karen went. So, I contacted her and requested a meeting, and she brushed me off, saying that she wasn't interested in meeting a shady guy like me. So, I was left with no choice. I met up with her at her own house, but I showed up when her husband wasn't home. She took her time opening the door, and I was surprised to find the terror etched across her face. She'd seemed genuinely terrified to find me on her front porch. Somehow, she invited me in and kept a more than respectable distance between her. I began telling her about how her pranks had made me very uncomfortable, and how I'm sure that she's been behind the rumors circulating amongst the town. I apologized to her for things that I might have done unintentionally that made her experience hurt. Then I requested her to put an end to the rumors because I, like many other town folk, wanted to live in a peaceful environment. She said nothing, just nodded her head as if she understood everything I'd said and was going to put things back into place. I decided to trust her, but now I've been proved wrong. Oh, so wrong. Bryson called me a few minutes ago, and it was about a certain post that he found on the interwebs. Again, and it's because it's been posted with my company's name in the tags. According to the post, I'm not a good man. Karen has accused me of visiting her home for questionable purposes when her husband wasn't there to defend her. She went as far as to mention the rumors about me circulating around the town, and how I'd been living in the house next to her, alone for months now. She's even made up a story about 3 women visiting the house in my absence and bawled their eyes out about how I played them. This is too much for me to take, especially now that it's hurting my business, and hey, my father called me, and so did my sister from abroad. I couldn't believe my eyes when they asked if what they've read on the internet was true. I was hurt. I still am. I can't believe that they've suspected me instead of believing me. In his defense, my father mentioned how so many things have been piling up against me, and if I'm to take things to court, or heck, even the police, well, I don't know, there's going to be many stumbling blocks I'm going to face because of my skin color. Regardless of my father's position in the Public Services Department. So here I am, I'm at your mercy. I'm at your justice. Tell me, was I wrong to visit Karen and talk to her as an adult instead of going to someone else to sort the matters out? How should I treat these things without bringing harm to Karen's reputation? Regardless, well, of how dirty she's played me, I won't be playing unfairly like she's been, so what can be done? Update number 2, I've put my home up for sale. I can't live here. Not in this town because everyone hates me now. Kids throw eggs at my window and uproot the flowers I've planted. They scratch my car and I get many calls from people claiming to be the owner of the Mercedes. My life's becoming a living nightmare, and I can't focus on my business anymore. My friends and business partners are concerned because we're not getting orders or assistance from many of the other companies, and our local clients are questioning our credibility. It's all because of some rumors that one woman decided to post on social media because of her hatred towards me. You must be thinking that I could be wrong. I'm not. Before I'd left her house, she told me that if I had not been black, she would not be doing any of this to me. Well, with this, she'd slammed her door in my face and I've been left at her doorstep at a loss for words. I hadn't mentioned this in the previous post because I didn't want to badmouth Karen any more than I already have. But what she did recently, any qualms about this post have disappeared. And now I'm going to tell you everything that I've been going through. I've met with many property dealers, yet no one is willing to assist me in selling the home. I've got 2 offers, and they're willing to pay only 25% of the asking price. I mean, I guess I can't blame them. Not after destroying my property the way my neighbors have. Their lack of interest has egged the children on, and they've done everything that could do about the home. The vulgar comments alone make many customers just turn their backs on it. Yesterday, I visit the house with renovators and ask them to bring it back to its original condition. Well, today, I get a call from one saying that the neighbors are giving them a tough time. 2 of them have bailed on the job, saying that they didn't want to work with such hostile environment and with someone like me, because if anyone took their pictures and spread them on social media, they'd lose their job. Now, I feel like my hands are tied. I could press for many different charges, but I can't. I'm looking for another way to sort this mess out without hurting anyone, and that's why I'm here with a plea for help. My thoughts, they're scattered amongst the place, and I can't seem to come up with a plausible situation. So, I've talked to my sister, and she says that my father is the only one who can help me. How can I go to my ideal person in the whole world with petty issues such as this that he've already taught me to overcome? I wonder what he'll think of me. He'd probably think that I'm not mature enough as he thought and might request to move back in with him. I know that because my mother offered it, but I can't. Karen's hostile accusations have just affected the selling of my house, but have made it difficult for me to purchase one near my office. All the landlords are scared of my slandering their good name. Even those with whom I share my same skin color have started to avoid me as well. I can't blame them, not really, knowing where they come from. They're just trying to make their own living and hold their own positions in society in which they've struggled. I can't think of a solution. I can't think of a way to talk to my father and request his help. I'm thinking about visiting the Hawkins again and asking for forgiveness. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to put things right. Do you think it'll be right for me to do so? Update number 3. Bryson visited me earlier yesterday and he showed me a video of my Mercedes that's gone viral. Apparently, some bloggers found my car parked outside my workplace and recorded a video. They've taken turns slandering my name, slandering the cars, and they've offered for the legal owner to show up for their selected location for an interview. Of course, I'm the owner, and I won't be showing up. It'll be like playing into their own hands. My matter with Karen could have been handled easily, but her mudslinging me has taken it too far. Before talking to my father, I made one last attempt to reconcile the matters between us, and for that I contacted her husband. We met at a local cafe where I gave him a copy of documents that stated that I was the sole rightful owner of the car as well as the home. It's also included the details about me being a legal partner of the company I worked at with my friends. Apparently, that wasn't enough for him. Now, Bryson has sent me another video showing me handing the documents over to Mr. Hawkins, and the captions read, "A criminal trying to buy a social justice fighter." My partner and my best friend of years has told me that he's had enough and could not stand working with me as my reputation has brought forth loss to the company. I've promised him to give me some time, please, as I handle this matter. So, he gives me an ultimatum, and if I can't clear my name by then, they're going to kick me out of the company that I've built. A dream that's on the verge of being snatched from me after accomplishing it. I've taken my time to go through all the comments and suggestions. I'm grateful for the support of many, and at the same time, I want to clear a few things up. I know that it wasn't right to visit Karen's house without telling anyone or taking anyone with me, but I've gone there to talk to her as an adult, clear any misunderstanding between us. I'd not suspected her foul play because I did not think that she'd go that far in her hatred. Then I had not thought of her husband trying to back her up. I believe now that they've been working together this whole time. They're con artists who earn through slandering others' names, putting things right after taking a certain amount of money. I also like to believe, as some of you suggested, that I'd become their target that moment I moved in. They'd known instantly that I wasn't a bad guy, nor a rude one, but definitely rich at such a young age. To further clarify this, let me tell you about a call I received an hour ago. It was from Mr. Hawkins, and he proposed an idea, right? Or, more like a demand. It's for a certain sum of money, just to clear up my name. I know they can do that, but to pay the amount that they've demanded, I can't. On a side note, I'm done being played and I'm done just being considerate. I have proof, and now I'm going to take legal action. I'm sure many of you will want me to talk with them to my parents and friends and clear the air, but I can't. Not when they've dealt their final hand and disclosed their real intentions. I do believe that they hate my skin color, but I'm also sure that they've done this to many, many people before me. Probably all those who share their dark color of my skin and status. I'm also aware that you'd be dying to know what I have and what I'm going to do, but I want you to understand I can't disclose it just yet. Social media has brought me more harm than anything, but I can't ignore the immeasurable support that I've found here. I promised that I'd keep you updated, and I'll tell you how it goes. Update number 4. Everyone. Your encouragement in seeking the law's help has been a huge help. Telling you about my story and reading through your comments has given me the courage that I've lost. Your kind words gave me an idea, a will to fight back. I met with my father and he was quite furious with me for not bringing the matter to him earlier. He said that he was aware of everything I've been going through, but since I had not sought his help, he believed that I was trying to handle it myself and any interference from him would have hurt my pride. Well, I did tell him that he was right, as I'd mentioned before, and my father is my role model. I didn't want to bother him with petty issues. I'd wanted him to see as someone who could handle his own crap. But alas, I'm his little boy, after all. We sat down to discuss everything from the beginning to the end, and my father told me that I've had enough proof to ensure the couple's punishment. Moreover, if they're habitual criminals, then it was going to bring justice to many, especially to those who could not fight back, and I believed him. So, earlier today we filed a case for social harassment and defamation. The notice was dispatched almost instantly since my father was with me, and well, with his reputation and respect, I'm sure that the Hawkins received the notice because Mr. Hawkins showed up. Well, he sure did. He wanted to desire to meet up at my workplace and personally apologize for everything they've put me through. This time, I did not act without consulting the matter with my father, and upon his suggestion, I went with 2 of his policemen who were instructed not to interfere unless necessary. You'd be surprised to know that Mr. James Hawkins tried to trap me one last time. He'd brought some goons with him, and instead of attacking me, they'd attack him. I'd been shocked, downright terrified at the brutality unfolding in front of me. I don't know when I'd screamed for them to stop, and to my surprise they had. They bowed toward me and they left the building. Hawkins had started laughing and told me that if I thought I'd get out of this mess, then I've been too wrong. He'd left me there disoriented and I could not wrap my mind around what just happened. I still can't. Update number 5, final update. Sorry for the disappearance. Hey everyone. I appreciate the concern you've shown, and it's given me courage like nothing else. It's been a month since my last update, and let me tell you that this past month has been chaotic. It took 3 hearings for the judge to reach a solid and righteous conclusion, and so many things came to light and shocked me. Now, I'll share everything with you as a conclusion to my story, and my experience, and as a precaution so that it doesn't happen to any of you. Mr. and Mrs. Hawkins did hate the color of my skin, but what irked them the more was the social status and income I had at such a young age. They'd gauged it from me with a smile that I was an easy guy, and it wouldn't take much to fool me. What Karen Hawkins did in the start was a test of my patience, and lack of retaliation had given her the courage to do more. She targeted my Mercedes first, and once again, when I had not done much in response, the couple had decided to take it just a bit further. My presence on their doorstep had presented a chance that solidified their stance against me. As it turned out, Mr. Hawkins actually was at home. Karen had taken her time opening the door because she's been busy setting up a camera. She'd appeared scared just to show that I was there, threatening her. She'd intended to blackmail me further with that video, had I turned down Mr. Hawkins' requested payment of the amount he demanded. Things got worse for me when I met up with Mr. Hawkins and Karen recorded a video of us. She'd exposed me as someone who was trying to, hush them by offering them money when all I'd given Mr. Hawkins was proof that I was the rightful owner of the car, as well as the house. Till then, I'd been playing nice, too nice. And they just kept on taking advantage of it. The Hawkins is pretty famous on social media. They've been to many cities, they have many blogs that are widely loved by people. That's why it was very easy for Karen to post a video about my Mercedes, and to catch some traction, media-wise. With the lack of response and presence on social media from my side, their stance just solidified over time. Later, when Mr. Hawkins had called me to demand money, I've done what they've been doing. I'd recorded his call and kept it with myself as proof. My father's strong sense of justice was what pushed me towards filing a suit. You'd be amazed to know that Hawkins had come prepared with all their proof that they gathered up, but I was fighting them with honor because I haven't done anything wrong. With my father's support and guidance and my lawyer's reputation, Murrayfield's townfolks were summoned, and they were revealed that it had been Karen. Indeed, Karen, who had been spreading the rumors. They believed her because the couple had been living with them for a long time, and they've been really hospitable. My father's men recording the scene with James Hawkins at my building parking lot was the last nail we needed to put down that coffin. Where Karen's videos did not include the sound and showed that I've been the one to get Mr. Hawkins beaten, my side of the proofs disclosed how things could be presented in 2 different ways without a sound. When the Hawkins knew that it was game over for them, they revealed the reason behind everything they've done. Jealousy. deep-rooted racism, stubbornness. These had been the demons to turn things ugly, and if not for me standing up against them without letting go of justice, they would just keep going. Their success with me would have given them the confidence to do wrong and get away with it again. I'm sure many of you have experienced online slandering at different scales, even suffering at the hands of those who twist things around to make them seem favorable to them. All that I can say is that one way or another, justice triumphs it all. It might take some time and test your sanity, but what goes around comes around. You can be famous on social media one day, but it can be brought down the next instant. This experience has changed me in my point of view. Not everyone's your friend, and social media is far more dangerous than we could ever imagine. Once again, I appreciate your support to the end of this. I respect your suggestions, and you trust me. If you ever need me, I'll make sure to be there for you. I'm just glad that this Karen got what she deserved in the end, which is social harassment. And probably a list of other things that she should go down for, just being a general toxic disaster. And that husband of hers too, he's not getting away with it. Guys, let me know what you think about this story. Maybe you've been impacted by similar situations that arose in this story. Go ahead and drop your comments down. Let's talk about it in the comment section. I hope you guys enjoyed today's story. If you did, make sure you're subscribed, because here at Mr. Reddito, we do daily stories of some of the most toxic, dramatic stories I can find on the World Wide Web. If that sounds like something you're into, smash that subscribe button. Have a fantastic day, and I will see you tomorrow.